Members, Happy New Year. We have a quorum. I call to order the meeting of this panel. Agenda item 1, information papers issued since last meeting. Since the last meeting, the Secretariat has issued 2 papers. The details are set out on the agenda issued on the 16th of February. Agenda item 2, items for discussion at the next meeting. The Secretariat has issued a list of outstanding items for discussion. LC paper number CB bracket 1165/2026 bracket 01. Members, the Chairman as well as the Deputy Chairman and the Secretary for Labour and Welfare had a meeting on the 4th of February to discuss the work plan for 2026. The list of outstanding items has been revised and it reflects the items proposed by members on the 23rd of January. And it also covers the work plan discussed during the meeting. The next regular meeting will be held on the 30th of March 2026 at 9 a.m. The administration proposes discussing the following items. A. Legislative proposal to ban smoking in all construction sites to enhance safety. This is the first item on the list of outstanding items. B. Good Employer Charter 2026. This is the second item on the list of outstanding items for discussion. Do members agree with the above? All right. Agenda item 3. Proposal to set up the subcommittee to study the promotion of occupational safety and health under the panel, including the chairman as well as the deputy chairman. In total, 11 members issued a joint letter on the 26th of January 2026. Please refer to LC paper number CB bracket 1165/2026 bracket 02. The letter proposes the establishment of the subcommittee to study the promotion of occupational safety and health. Mr. Kingsley Wong, please brief members on the proposal. Thank you, Chairman. In relation to the proposal to set up such a subcommittee, as mentioned in the paper, the purpose of the subcommittee is to study the serious accidents of different industries as well as OSH matters. The purpose is to explore measures to reduce accidents, as well as to make use of technology to enhance OSH culture, as well as awareness. In 2023, the Occupational Safety and Occupational Health Legislation Miscellaneous Amendment Ordinance took effect, but still 40 lives were claimed in industrial accidents after that. It shows that there are loopholes to be plugged, and so we've got support from various sectors to set up such a committee. We'd like to collect views from members so that we can offer better protection to our employees. Thank you. Do members agree that we set up a subcommittee to study the promotion of OSH under this panel? The maximum number of members for this subcommittee is 20. Over half of the members have to be members of this panel. Non-panel members may join as well, but their number shall not exceed that of panel members. Also, please note that the House Committee will consider proposals for setting up subcommittees to study policy issues under the House Committee as well as under panels, and the priority of work of subcommittees in one go. So normally, not more than 10 subcommittees can be in action at the same time, and usually the work of all subcommittees have to be completed within 12 months' time. Agenda item 4. Reform of the Employees Retraining Board and proposed amendments to the Employees Retraining Ordinance. Let me first welcome the relevant government officials to join us.
嗱，各位委員，
Members, this is a legislative proposal, so all members of the Legislative Council are invited to join the discussion of this item. First, let us invite the Secretary for Labour and Welfare to walk us through the paper. That's LC paper number bracket 1165/2026 bracket 03. There is a PowerPoint presentation. Secretary, over to you. Good morning, members. This is the first meeting of the Year of the Horse, so I'd like to wish you all every success in the new year. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss the reform of the ERB, and it is to unleash the potential labor force. Today at this meeting, we report to members about the one-stop training and employment scheme as well as the repositioning of the ERB. And this has been brought up in the previous 3 policy addresses. As for the reform of the ERB, this is going to be a milestone in terms of our manpower training. Our goal is to provide skill-based training courses for our labor force. We want to help workers from all walks of life. We want to upskill them on a continuous basis and boost their competitiveness. Starting from early last year, the ERB has in phases rolled out reforms. The first batch of short-term measures have been rolled out, and for the medium and long-term measures, the relevant proposals were submitted at the end of last year. The government has already come up with a timetable as well as a roadmap for the reform of the ERB, and the government will continue to support the reform work of the ERB in an orderly manner. We also propose to amend the Employees Retraining Ordinance. The purpose is to allow the ERB to comprehensively implement its reform measures. The amendment will cover the statutory functions of the ERB, the power, the composition, as well as the definition of service targets of the ERB, as well as the functions of the Employees Retraining Fund, the appointment of training bodies, as well as the renaming of the ERB to tie in with their repositioning. Now I'd like to invite Professor Simon Wong, Chairman of the ERB, as well as the Executive Director and Deputy Executive Director of the ERB to take the floor. Professor Simon Wong. Chairman, members, I wish you all every success in the new year. First, I'd like to thank the SAR government for leading the reform work of the ERB. Also, the government has already accepted the proposal submitted by the ERB in December last year in relation to the medium and long-term reform measures. The details of the proposals are set out in the administration paper. I'd like to touch on the 4 major points. First, we have to build a new skill-based training framework. What does that mean? In the past, we trained up a trainee to do a certain job. In the future, we hope to assist trainees in grasping a set of skills, such as AI application. If you are able to grasp how to use AI, that would benefit you for the rest of your life. From the social perspective, we'd like to tie in with the goal of trawling for talents for developing the 8 centers in Hong Kong. And from the employees' perspectives, we want everyone to secure a job, and on top of that, we want to upskill all employees in Hong Kong. We want them to get a better job, a better remuneration package. Second point, we will roll out micro-credentials, and we will break up our courses into different parts. They're like modular courses. You complete modules one by one, and they're stackable, and you'll be able to get a certificate after completing all the modules, and that will enhance your progression pathway. And we want trainees to have a sense of success and satisfaction. Third point, we will be the industry observatory. We will be more professional in terms of developing courses. We will set up a research division. We will invite experts to analyze market data for us. We hope that these experts will make use of AI to project the demands for talents in the market of Hong Kong. The ERB has a very strong consultative network all along. We will replan and reconfigure this network. We will reach out on the proactive basis to different policy bureaus. We hope that we'll be able to know in advance the demands for talent so that we can better prepare for the planning of our courses. Fourth point, we will rebrand the ERB and provide better service support. We suggest that we rename the ERB. As to what the new name should be, we will wait for the government's approval before we announce the new name. Also in Kowloon Bay, we will set up an integrated service center that occupies an area of 85,000 square feet. We will provide one-stop support services in the center. Lastly, I would like to stress that we will amend the ERO. As mentioned by the Secretary, we will revamp the statutory functions and powers of the ERB to tie in with our reform. The relevant work mentioned above will be launched as early as possible. Here, I'd like to thank members for your support all along. Now I will pass the floor to Mr. Byron Ng. Just now, the Secretary as well as Professor Simon Wong have touched on the 4 major reform directions. I don't want to take up too much time, so I will talk about the 2 or 3 major points. Just now, Professor Wong mentioned that we want to build a skills-based training framework, and this is going to be the top priority of our work. So how is it different from our previous framework? For employees that currently have a job or those who are seeking a job, we want to help them upskill themselves and acquire core skills, and we will provide these skills to them through micro-credential courses. So based on the needs of different employees, as well as based on the interests of different employees, we will provide these courses to them. We will come up with different levels for these courses to make sure that there will be a progression pathway for trainees. For those who have a job and who do not face any threats in terms of looking for a job, we want to upskill them. For example, we want them to learn how to use AI so they can upgrade themselves. We hope to also strengthen our research capabilities. We want to coordinate different departments as well as the resources we have. We want to pick the brains of different sectors to project the future trends in the GBA as well as in Asia, so we know what skills employees need to acquire. The ERB would also develop courses that are currently not provided in the market. Moving forward, we want to streamline our mode of operation. As mentioned, we will come up with different levels for the courses, and also we want to make use of training facilities provided by neighboring cities such as Shenzhen. We want to make use of these facilities and provide, for example, internship opportunities for our trainees. Also, our headquarters will be relocated to Kowloon Bay. There will be a service center. The service center will serve as a hub for those who do not know what kind of training they need, and for those who have left schools for a long time and they want to move up the career ladder. They can get the relevant counseling services from this new center. So we have already touched on the 4 major points. I will give the floor back to Chairman. That's all from me.
Thank you. I now open the floor to members for questions. I believe 12 members have pressed the request to speak button. Questions and answers included 3 minutes. Mr. Shilkafai. Thank you. I very much agree with what Professor Wong said. We need to tie in with the country's developments, especially in technology. We really need to catch up. Apart from the 4 directions in reforms, I want to ask if there are some workers who are unemployed, if they undertake training, the allowance they're given has been increased to $8,000. Will they still be entitled to this allowance? If they are not unemployed, people can still take courses, stackable courses, to upskill themselves. If there are more workers undertaking training, how will the fees be charged for such courses? The Kowloon Bay Center, the 85,000 square feet venue, is it government land or are you renting the place? If the rent is cheap, perhaps you should just buy the property for your long-term development. Thank you. Secretary, I will ask Professor Wong and Mr. to give more information upon my reply. For the placement-tied courses, people will still be entitled to the allowance. These are the focus courses that we will have placement-tied training for local workers, and people will still be entitled to allowance. It's just that we are providing additional courses. And I will also ask Professor Wong and Mr. to talk about the charges later and the considerations. The Kowloon Bay property can be purchased for the long-term development of the ERB to provide a base of training for local workers. I will now ask Professor Wong and Mr. Byron to supplement my answers. Thank you. As chairman of the ERB, I would like to emphasize that with the reforms, we will not be cutting the allowance and services provided to workers before, especially for grassroots workers. We just want to expand the scope of our services and to upskill the whole local labor force. Please rest assured. As for charges, we are very much aware that we are making use of public money, so we are very prudent with the use of such money. For the placement-tied courses, if they are not, or for courses, if people are unemployed, we will look at their income to see if they're entitled to relevant allowance. We have several locations, Tin Shui Wai, Cheung Sha Wan, and Siu Sai Wan. The headquarters is in Siu Sai Wan. We had several tenancy agreements expiring last year, so we took the opportunity to purchase commercial premises in Kowloon Bay to make it into our headquarters and training center in future, so that in future we do not have to pay rent. Thank you. Mr. Chow Siu Chung. Thank you, Chair. I would like to declare the organization I serve is one of the training bodies of the ERB. I have 2 questions. One, I want to ask about the financial sustainability after the reforms for the board. We have expanded the scope of service targets in educational attainment and age, so we have now a bigger target group. We also need to set up a skills-based training framework. These are some large goals. For training resources, do we have a sustainable plan to make sure we can continue to provide such services? I also want to make sure our vision is to provide placement-tied courses for grassroots workers too. With the reforms, will the resources on employment support be cut? Specifically, for the placement-tied courses, will we see a decline in a number of places and course hours? Thank you. Secretary. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chow. I said this before. Professor Wong also said this before. The ERB reforms have an overarching principle. We will maintain existing support for grassroots workers. But I'm sure you understand, we are seeing great changes in society, especially with the rapid development and prevalence of AI. Workers affected are no longer limited to those in the grassroots. With the development of AI, the change will permeate in different sectors. We really need to respond to this. It's not just about upskilling. We need to be more forward-looking than that. We have researched this. We believe we have to move towards being skills-based and upskill the entire labor force in Hong Kong to enhance their competitiveness. We will continue to provide support to grassroots workers. Let me ask Mr. to supplement my answers. Thank you, Mr. Chow, for your questions. I'll first answer the second question. As the Secretary said, we will not be cutting the placement-tied courses. 40% of the places of the ERB's courses would be of placement-tied courses. But in future, with the provision of courses, we will make them stackable to make it more flexible for those undertaking training. They can learn things that are more suitable in their sectors, and then when they have the time and when they're interested, they can take other courses. After moving to Kowloon Bay, we will provide other employment support, career training, career planning, career counseling, and perhaps some demonstrations of skills so that workers know where the new job opportunities lie and what skills they have to learn. We have quite good foundations, but we will continue to keep costs within revenues. We will develop more courses, but because we are making stackable courses, we believe we can control the costs. Any follow-up questions? None? Mr. Holden Chow. I would like to thank Secretary Professor Wong and his team for preparing the paper, which has great details. We did talk about how for placement-tied courses for grassroots, we need to provide such courses. We talked about the reforms. I think perhaps we can take this opportunity while we see the developments in AI in future for the grassroots. When they have to join a new sector, they often would receive training from the ERB. Have we found how much time they need after they undertake training to join a new sector? Maybe we can have a systematic study and perhaps a long-term study to collect such data. We do understand with developments of AI, some job categories will be eliminated. I think we should take this opportunity to strengthen research and collection of data to find out how long it would take for workers after undertaking training will be able to join a new sector. It will really help with planning of new courses. the ERB has been helping grassroots change careers or sectors. So I think the ERB plays a key role in this. It would be great if they can look into whether they can research such data. Secretary, thank you, Mr. Holden Chow, for your questions. I will ask Professor Wong and Mr. Byron to supplement my answers. With the Skills Research Division, it will definitely help us with collection of data. As you can imagine, if you need to do more research and you need the data there, I will perhaps ask Professor Wong and Mr. Byron to supplement my answers, but I believe with the division, it can definitely help. Mr. Chow, I agree with you that we need to take this direction. There's no crystal ball. We don't know what society needs in future. We do know that there is rapid development with AI. There's something new every few weeks. We will have people losing jobs, but this is not limited to Hong Kong. This is something faced by the whole world. The ERB's role is that we should move on like we did in the 80s. It's just that we have to move faster than what we did before when we were moving on from manufacturing to the services sector. With the setting up of the Skills Research Division, we want to make sure it is effective so that we can implement the reforms. Thank you. Mr. Chang Pui Kong. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Secretary. I want to ask about the one-stop training scheme, the OTE scheme. How will the government assess the long-term impact of the scheme? We have seen some volatility in the employment rate in the labor market. How can we make sure employers live up to their promises? How many inspections have been made? How many verification checks have been made? How many cases required investigation? And have there been any institutions or companies that have been punished? Secretary, I will ask Mr. Byron to answer the specifics. We have seen in the pilots, we have seen good results, so we are regularizing the scheme. But for the specifics, I will ask Mr. Byron to answer the question. Thank you. After completion of training, there is a period where for 3 to 6 months there will be follow-up services, and our officers will try to help workers find jobs. And we have surveys, we have records on this. In the past few years, we have an employment rate of about 85%. As for other upskilling courses, the part-time ones, we do not follow up on them because some of them are already working. They may not change jobs right away. But in future, perhaps the Skills Research Division will follow up on the part-time course students to see whether they have changed jobs, which sectors they have joined, to find out more about the relationship between training and future employment. But for the placement type courses in general, we have surveys to collect relevant data. Any follow-up questions? None. Dr. Alvin Lee.
I welcome the reform initiatives proposed by the ERB so that those who are above 15 years old And not only those who hold a sub-degree level will be able to benefit from the courses. This will tie in with the economic transformation as well as industry development of Hong Kong. I have a question about paragraph 8 of the paper. It says that ERB has rolled out around 50 higher level courses on future skills, and they cover areas of skills as AI, technology applications, and so on. Paragraph 10 of the paper also says that the ERB is of the view that these courses are satisfactory and that there will be level 3 and 4 courses, and there are plans to work with the higher education institutions to develop level 5 courses. Will there be further survey to study the satisfaction rate of trainees on these higher level courses to further improve the progression ladder of trainees? And what are your thoughts of bridging over to higher education courses with these ERB courses also? How will you coordinate with the Continuing Education Fund as well as the Qualifications Framework to make sure that there is no overlap of courses? Second question, I noticed that in the previous LegCo term, some members mentioned that some trainees signed up for courses of the ERB just to get the subsidies, and they also regarded the courses as interest classes. The administration said trainees were asked to sign up for at most 2 courses that are linked to their jobs a year. So how can you identify abuses? What measures will you adopt to effectively curb abuses? Also, it is mentioned that courses will cover those who have higher education level. Will you adopt models under which, based on trainees' education levels, you will charge different fees so that courses can be provided more effectively? Thank you. Secretary, let me see if the ERB has anything to supplement, because the questions are about the actual practice as well as operation of the ERB. I thank the member for the questions. In relation to courses that have to do with AI, our goal this year is to focus on developing level 3 and level 4 courses. As to how these courses can be bridged over to other courses, over the past 2 years, we've been trying to attract students from tertiary level to sign up for these courses, so that after they've completed our level 3 and 4 courses, and if they want to go further in relation to their studies, other higher education institutions will recognize the courses they took from the ERB. We also want to extract 1 or 2 modules from our ERB courses so that students who had a taste of these modules, if they're interested, they can carry on with their education in post-secondary institutions. Also, half of our courses are under the Qualifications Framework. They're mostly level 1 to 3 courses. We assess our own courses, and for longer-term courses, if suitable, we will incorporate them into the Qualifications Framework. We make reference to the Qualifications Framework to make sure that our courses can be recognized by different industries. As to how we can curb abuses as well as encourage trainees to pursue further studies, we have been doing this over the past few years. As mentioned by the member, every year each trainee can sign up for at most 2 placement-tied courses, and they can only apply for retraining allowance once every year. We ask trainees to do a stringent interview. We, during the interview, learned about why or whether the trainee has a job and their interests as well as their family background. The training bodies do this kind of interviews very stringently. we have told the training bodies that 70% of their admitted trainees will have to the trainees will have to achieve a 70% placement rate. Otherwise, points will be deducted from the training bodies. And we see that the placement rate has reached 85% over the past 2 years. Of course, we follow up on various cases, and we see that over the past few years, more freelancers have signed up for ERB courses. 2 weeks ago, when chairman of the ERB met with the press, we told members of the press about stories of trainees who have completed cake-making courses and started their own businesses. And they even started their online shops, and we patronized these online shops. So we see that they may not necessarily find a job that is exactly related to the courses, but at least they have learned something from the course, and we have adopted various means to make sure that there won't be any abuses. Next, Mr. Ng Won Kit. I'm glad that there will be reform of the ERB so that the ERB will not only focus on the grassroots but also employees of various sectors. It will help upskill our employees. According to the paper, there will be an AI consultant to provide career planning advice. I want to learn about the relevant progress and how will you ensure that the AI technology can effectively provide the support services, and how effective will that be? Also, I want to know if you are working with the basic education sector secretary. In relation to the actual details, I'll ask the executive director to supplement. I believe that the basic education will serve as the foundation for our students and employees. Basic education usually takes 12 years, spanning primary and secondary education. The ERB takes up various missions. First, targeting at middle-aged employees who are not very well educated, so the ERB will upskill them and help them transform. For the younger employees, they have already received good basic education, and our focus is a little different for these employees. As the chairman said, we want them to grasp the latest trends on AI. In relation to the career planning services provided by the ERB, we want to help employees secure a job. The ERB will see a new headquarters, and we will have more room and space to provide such support services. In relation to the details, I'll give the floor to the ERB. The paper mentions that we might make use of AI to provide career planning services. This is a concept we have. In the past, we adopted a traditional model. We have staff who met with those who need help, and we weren't able to meet with a lot of people. Now we want to expand our service targets. We want all employees from Hong Kong to enjoy our services, so we cannot only rely on manual labor. With AI, we are faced with lots of challenges. It is a global trend. At the same time, we want AI to be our best helpers. So in our vision, in the future, imagine that it could be a mobile app for those who would like to upskill themselves, who have the aspiration to do so. They can make use of this app, and they will be able to acquire stackable micro-credentials from the ERB. It's like playing video games. You're able to store and acquire credits by taking the modular courses. As for the AI consultants that we imagine, they will be able to serve millions of Hong Kong people. We will include accurate information into the system. We will not only rely on the large language model, we will incorporate all useful information into the system. And so we will not only rely on a few staff to provide the services, we will save the information and resources for the people who are most in need. And that's our vision. We hope that in the short term, or in the near future, or at least during my term, we'll be able to create that. Any supplement? Next, Deputy Chair, Mr. Lam Chun Sing. Thank you, Chairman. There are many self-financed institutions that are providing courses under the CEF. The ERB will roll out more courses in the future, and the courses will cover various areas. Will there be competition as a result? And would that affect the operation of the market of training bodies? And will the courses provided overlap with those offered under the CEF? The $100 or so million, the $10 billion under the CEF might be depleted soon. Will the CEF focus on higher level courses and the ERB focus on upskilling services? What are your thoughts on this? Also, it is mentioned in the paper that the ERB will provide services to incoming talents as well as imported labor as well as foreign domestic helpers as well. And the ERO will be amended so that the ERB can provide services outside Hong Kong. We do not want the ERB to be another organization or body that provides training for the foreign domestic helpers. We do not want the reform to reduce resources on training for the local workers as well. A lot of foreign domestic helpers who come to Hong Kong, they already have the basic knowledge before they come. And there are lots of schemes under the Social Welfare Department that benefit the foreign domestic helpers. So are there needs to provide extra services for the FDH? And also, you adopt the user pays principle. I wonder if there are enough resources for those who are not local workers. Secretary, we believe the ERB and the CEF complement each other. There shouldn't be any overlapping of resources. Also, I thank Mr. Lam Chun Sing for his comment. Allow me to take the opportunity to explain further. Concerning the reform of the ERB, it involves amendment to the ERO. As mentioned, incoming talents as well as foreign domestic helpers are currently not included under the ERO. In fact, even after we have amended the ERO, we will focus on our local workers and employees. However, we have to think about this. We should not only look at the present by amending the ERO, we have to be visionary and forward-looking. We have to think about whether in the next 10 or 20 years, whether we should give more power to the ERB. Our goal is very clear. All non-local workers, foreign domestic helpers, and incoming talents who sign up for our resources, we have to recover the costs from them. Why do we adopt this model? Take the FDH as an example. We're facing an aging population, and we have basic requirements in relation to the skills of FDH that cover how they take care of our elderly people. Can we only rely on SWD? We have 370,000 FDH. Of course, not all of them are taking care of our elderly, but hundreds and thousands of FDHs in Hong Kong have to take care of elderly people. There will be more and more elderly people in Hong Kong. We're talking about those aged above 80 years old, and most of them are aging in place. If the employer of the FDH is willing to pay to upskill the domestic helper, and if the ERB sees that there are resources for this, we should think about this. However, we're only looking into this. Of course, our priority is to look after the local employees. Now let's think about this, be it incoming talents or foreign domestic helpers. Like Mr. Lam Chun Sing said, before they come to Hong Kong, they have already acquired all the skills they need. In the future, after the repositioning of the ERB, we'll have to take care of those who work for example, SMEs as well. For SMEs or enterprises who hire one or two foreign labor, if we exclude them, the enterprise will have to spend time to train them up. We can't only cover 90% of the employees of an enterprise and exclude one or two imported labor. We have training subsidies for local employees. If an enterprise hire one or two imported labor, and if we are to provide training for them as well, we'll have to recover the costs from them. Well, we don't have plans to take care of all the imported labor or foreign labor yet. However, we cannot only look at the present situation. We have to be more visionary and look at the situation we might face in the coming 1 or 2 decades.
Thank you, Secretary. Mr. Lam raised some concerns. I agree that there may be concerns, and we will try to make sure what Mr. Lam suggested wouldn't happen. As the Secretary said, we talked about reforms in the paper. These did not come out of thin air. We talked to stakeholders and they wanted these measures. So we looked at these and we think these are worth doing, and we would need to amend existing legislation to do that. We want to have a wider service group to provide more flexibility and room, but of course we will accord priority to local workers, especially grassroots workers. Afterwards, when we have the resources and time, and when there is great demand from society, we will make sure, if the law allows it, to recover the costs or even more when we provide training to imported labor. But we emphasize that it is only for the greater benefit of Hong Kong that we will do this. It's not just about making sure the operations of the ERB are profitable. We ask Mr. Lam to continue to monitor our operations in future. I would like to ask Mr. Andrew Zhang to supplement some information. I asked Mr. Lam Chun Sing to rest assured about the relationship between the ERB and other training institutions. There is no competition, really. The reform ERB plays an important role in future. We will have a skills-based training framework, and if workers want to have better career prospects in their sectors, they will know what courses to take and what skills to upgrade based on information and knowledge of the ERB. And in fact, some high-end courses are available in the private sector, so the ERB may not need to provide such training. We already have some in the labor force taking 2 years of training. We will have some in the labor force taking 1 year of training. We will have some in the labor force taking 1 year of training. We will have some in the labor force taking 1 year of training. We will have some in the labor force taking 1 year of training. We will have some in the labor force taking 1 year of training. We will have some in the labor force taking 1 year of training. We will have some in the labor force taking 1 year of training. We will have some in the labor force taking 1 year of training. We will have some in the labor force taking 1 year of training. We will have some in the labor force taking 1 year of training. We will have some in the labor force taking 1 year of training. We will have some in the labor force taking 1 year of training. We will have some in the labor force taking 1 year of training. We will have some in the labor force taking 1 year of training. We will have some in the labor force taking 1 year of training. We will have some in the labor force taking 1 year of training. We will have some in the labor for training courses in certain training institutions right now. In future, the ERB with enhanced research capabilities will find out what skills are lacking of the labor force in future, and the ERB can provide training opportunities in these areas. The ERB also works with not just course providers, perhaps even some technology companies, to provide specific training to workers. So it's not really about competition with training providers in the private sector. As for the relationship with the Continuing Education Fund, the ERB would have to explore with the government how we can in general consolidate local training resources, how the ERB can collaborate with the CEF to better help workers in the long term. Chair, I have no follow-up questions because it's way past the time limit. I just want to declare that the organization I serve operates CEF courses and is a training body under the ERO. Thank you. Mr. Kingsley Wong. Thank you, Chair. I would also like to declare the organization I serve has some courses of the ERB. I very much agree with the directions and reforms because it will be aligning with the country's strategy to develop 8 centers in Hong Kong. I also agree that we should apply a skills-based training framework, but I'm worried whether we have adequate resources to operate the different courses, especially with fiscal deficit at the moment. We have budget cuts in different departments. Can there be some sort of a guarantee that we will still have the resources to implement reforms so that the reforms will not be affected by the fiscal deficit of the government? I also appreciate the ERB being quite innovative, that we are providing training courses to those outside Hong Kong. We have, say, robotics and the operations of drones. We really need to learn from the mainland for these areas. I want to ask what the ERB specific plans are with the courses in these areas. With training, is it possible for local workers to perhaps work in the mainland as well? Secretary, thank you. Chair, thank you, Mr. Kingsley Wong. I appreciate the 2 questions asked by Mr. Kingsley Wong. They're very much valid. The ERB does not receive recurrent funding. We have made large injections before, so the ERB has a large sum that they can use slowly. They have quite good financial results in the past few years. They have seen an increase in revenue. Perhaps I'll ask Professor Wong or Mr. Byron to supplement information on this later. With the expansion of the functions of the ERB, we still have good financial viability of the board. Please rest assured. Another question of Mr. Kingsley Wong's is that for the training base, we should not be limited to Hong Kong. We need to actively integrate into the country. So for, say, repairs of EVs as well as low-altitude economy technologies and robotics, I'm sure many are aware the mainland is pioneer in the world. So if we have amendments made to legislation, perhaps we can have training provided in the mainland. That will be a win-win, definitely. But whether such qualifications are recognized not just in Hong Kong but also in the mainland, it may be more complex, but perhaps we can explore this in future. I will now ask Professor Wong to speak. Mr. Wong, I'm sure you know I'm a businessman, so I care very much about the costs and benefits. The ERB has cyclical functions. When economy is poor, we provide more training. When the economy is good, it is the opposite. And when the economy is poor, therefore, we will have a deficit. But the deficit is not necessarily a loss because we are serving more citizens. We do note the concern. We are controlling costs. We did not receive additional injections. With the training we provide, sometimes we do not provide the courses. We conduct tendering for course providers to provide such courses, and we have noted in recent years we have received lower quotations. So if we can make better use of AI, if we see course providers making better use of AI and controlling costs better, we definitely would accord some sort of priority. As for EV courses, we already provide some of relevant courses. I'll perhaps ask Mr. Byron to provide more information. As Mr. Wong said, some courses we do not really have the space and the expertise to provide such training. We had to really wait until legislation is amended, but we are already exploring collaboration opportunities. Perhaps with a training venue in Shenzhen, we will have most part of the course being delivered in Hong Kong, but with the practicum, the training will perhaps be given in Shenzhen. It would just be 1 or 2 days. We also have for EV training, we're working with some particular brands so that when students graduate, they can repair perhaps a particular brand's vehicles. We will have recognition from the brands for this very purpose. And with amendment in legislation, we can provide some of these practical courses. Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, thank you. Chair, thank you. Administration for providing the paper. We have in the paper some of the measures that will upskill the workforce, and it is quite innovative. Let me first declare I am a member of the advisory group within the ERB. I also serve an organization that provides relevant training. In future, we will have an integrated center in Kowloon Bay. How many training partners will we have in future? How many courses will be provided online or even through an app? We have Professor Wong talk about how we will have some adjustment training for those who are looking to change jobs. How many courses will there be that will be for this particular purpose? Sometimes when the ERB comes up with courses, it would take long, and when the course is finally commencing, it is outdated. With the formation of the new skills research division, can we expedite the process so that we have more up-to-date courses for the labor force? Thank you.
Secretary. I will defer to the chairman and the executive director of the ERB. I'd like to take this opportunity to talk about the time needed for rolling out a course. Indeed, for some courses, it seems like there is a demand for the training, but we end up having very few people sign up for the course. So there are situations like these. Going back to the question, will all the courses be incorporated under QF? Well, there are pros and cons to it. If it is a QF course, it will take years because we need the approval from the qualifications framework. So it's not that the more QF courses we have, the merrier. Sometimes we'd rather roll out the course as early as possible. So in order to speed up the process, we adopt a dual approach. So we have already streamlined the process of appointing a training body, and after the amendment of the ordinance, the process will be even faster. So if it is not a QF course, it will take shorter for us to roll out the course. If we identify that there is a long-term need for the course to be a QF course, we will apply for the QF recognition. So we will roll out a system under which the courses are relevant to the qualifications framework so that trainees know which level they are at under the qualifications framework. Executive Director. So yes, we do want to speed up the process and we want to adopt a multi-pronged approach in order to do that. Currently, we mostly rely on training bodies to develop courses for us, and we want to have our own validation system to assess the level of our courses. In future, we might, for example, work with a tech company and say the tech company has already a very mature curriculum. We have, for example, been talking to IBM and Microsoft to see if we can adopt the courses they are already offering. Also, we want greater flexibility in developing and rolling out courses, so there will be modular courses. As to how we will make use of the service center, while we will have this integrated service center, we will still rely on training bodies to roll out courses. There will be, however, classrooms in the integrated center. Say if we are working with tech companies or training bodies to roll out within a short period of time some courses, we will provide those courses in the service center. So we will adopt a multi-pronged approach to launch as many courses as possible within a short period of time. I'd like to supplement. I think we shouldn't only work with tech companies. Otherwise, we are just promoting for them. We will have to work with various types of enterprises to learn about what kind of skills employees need. Any reply? No? Next, Mr. Ken Wong. Thank you, Chairman. I welcome the regularization of the OTE scheme. I also welcome the proposal that there will be more course options and that the relevant restrictions will be lifted. Will there be courses for the 26 types of imported labor under the supplementary labor scheme? We know that there is an acute manpower shortage for the 26 trades under the supplementary labor scheme. If the OTE scheme, after it is regularized, can cover the 26 trades, I believe that we'll be able to ensure that jobs will be provided for the locals first. Also, will there be comparative studies under the OTE scheme to compare the manpower needs of various trades? And will there be a short-term scheme to come up with a comprehensive training to provide a better progression ladder for employees. And this is also to provide better matching services to lower the turnover rate of employees. Secretary, I thank Mr. Wong for the questions. In relation to the OTE scheme, our purpose has not changed. It will target local employees and workers. This is because our goal is that through the OTE scheme, we want employees or workers who want to secure a job to receive training and to be matched with an employer. So this is the overarching principle, and the principle will remain unchanged. We understand where Mr. Wong is coming from, but we have no plans to extend the OTE scheme to the imported labor. Also, we see that after the pilot OTE scheme was rolled out, for both employees and employers, they were happy with the scheme. This is because before they are given a job offer, they could already receive training. Well, we're still piloting the scheme. After we regularize the scheme, after we have accumulated more experience, our ERB staff will continue to improve the scheme. But we do see that the scheme is benefiting local workers. If necessary, we might expand the scheme. As for the matching services provided under the scheme, in terms of how successful and how effective they are, I think we need time to make observations. Next, Captain Lothair Lam. As we see economic restructuring, there is different demand for different industries. So I'm glad to see the reform of the ERB so that local workers can better usher in the transformation. According to the paper, the ERB will step up research capability. There will be a new skills research division. Also, it will step up communication with the relevant industries to promote relevant training. I want to know what are the differences between the research that you do now and the research you do in the future? I understand that the VTC as well as the government conduct regular researches as well. So how will the researches be done by the ERB different? Also, it is mentioned in the paper that there will be training for local employees, and the training facilities and resources outside Hong Kong will be made use of. So, which city or country do you plan to work with? For example, we're promoting greenfield bunkering in Hong Kong, and we need a lot of training for the technicians in the industry. We currently have no such training in Hong Kong, but there are many relevant training bodies in the mainland. Will you consider working with these training bodies in the mainland? Secretary, I thank the member for the questions. Let me try to respond to your questions about the researches to be done by the ERB. The LWB conduct the Manpower survey once every 5 years, and that covers the entire Hong Kong. You can look at it as the survey that is of the largest scale in Hong Kong, and it covers the manpower needs and demands of different industries. We're currently doing the latest round of survey in this regard. As for the surveys done by the VTC, well, they're different from those done by the ERB because the ERB will have its own skill research division. My understanding is that the VTC focuses mostly on students. However, the ERB faces all employees in Hong Kong, not just students. We're targeting, for example, the middle-aged employees. chairman of the ERB mentioned in his opening remarks that we currently already have a consultative network under the ERB, but we cannot simply rely on the network to collect information. The ERB has to have its own research capability in order to be more visionary. Also, as mentioned, we need people who have the relevant skills in, for example, the EV industry, drone industry, and the same for greenfield bunkering. Through amending the existing ordinance, the ERB will be able to go outside Hong Kong, and our local employees will be able to go to the Greater Bay Area for training. There will be lots of training scenarios, and I believe that we can make use of the GBA. Next, Mr. Lam Wai Kong. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Secretary. I thank the administration for reforming the ERB. Currently, employees face different kinds of pressure. They cover pressures brought by AI as well as industry restructuring, and we need different training in order to upskill our employees. I have a couple of questions. First, there are many trainings offered by the government as well as different organizations. We have the ERB, we have also the VTC. And the ERB is going to roll out the micro-credential system as well as courses that are linked to the qualifications framework. Would the government coordinate the relevant effort? Say there could be one policy bureau that coordinates the relevant resources for vocational training so that there won't be different training or courses scattered across different organizations. Also, I'd like to learn more about the micro-credential framework. My view is that it is important whether an industry or an enterprise recognize the credentials. How will the government promote the recognition of these micro-credential courses? Say a trainee has completed a micro-credential course. How can you ensure that the relevant credential be recognized by the relevant industry? And also, how will the course be linked to the remuneration package of the trainee? Well, this is to make sure that trainees will actually benefit from these courses. Third question. As mentioned, when there is an economic downturn, many employees would like to upskill themselves through attending training. For industries with a high unemployment rate, will members of these industries get a higher subsidy under the ERB so that even if they are jobless, they will be able to get a higher subsidy so as to tide over the hard times with them? Secretary. Well, let me respond to the questions one by one. In terms of training resources, the government coordinates the relevant resources in a centralized manner. As you know, the Chief Secretary for Administration is the chairman of the Committee on Education, Technology and Talent. The Chief Executive set up this committee because he wants to make sure that there is integration of education, technology, and talent. Most of the resources come from the Education Bureau. Some of them come from the Labor and Welfare Bureau. The ERB is under the LWB, but the ultimate coordination is done by the committee I mentioned just now. So please rest assured the Chief Executive is very forward-looking. We have a committee as well as the Chief Secretary overseeing the relevant coordination work. As for the question about micro-credential courses, I think it really depends on the industry. I'm not an expert in this regard, but for those who are in the tech sector, of course, if you sign up for a micro-credential course, it will help you get a better pay. And for other industries that do not require such skills, there might be ways for you to boost your competitiveness. For example, there are many signature courses offered by the ERB, and they are very popular among employees. I think it is not about the form of the courses. I think most importantly, these courses can help employees get a remuneration package. As for the work of the ERB, as mentioned, it serves the relevant counter-cyclical functions. It's hard for us to grant more subsidies to those from a specific trade. I understand that trainees get the subsidy based on the duration of their courses, and the unit rate is the same for all trainees. I think we have to keep this consistent to ensure fairness. Otherwise, it would be hard for us to justify why certain trainees from a certain trade would get a higher subsidy.
Mr. Jonathan Leung. Thank you. With employers hiring imported labor, they need to pay $400 a month, what is called a levy, to the ERB to help the local workers upskill and retrain. We have placement-tied courses of the ERB that has really helped many of those unemployed. In 2024, the allowance has been increased to $8,000, but we also observe for those taking such courses, in the end, they do not join the relevant sectors. So we still have a gap here. Will there be some sort of guarantee or a pledge so that workers will only be entitled to the full allowance if they join the relevant sectors, to make sure the levies paid by employers can indeed help meet the manpower gap? I appreciate how the new courses would incorporate some new elements, for example, AI, but there are rapid developments with AI. Even those in the sector who are experts will need to continuously learn new knowledge. How can we make sure our courses meet the needs of the market closely? Can you talk about the strategy of the ERB on this? Secretary. Thank you, Chair. In fact, the operations of the ERB do not rely on the levy. It relies on the lump sum injections made by the government so that they can continuously provide courses to workers. For the placement-tied courses, we said many times before, as Mr. Byron said, we need to strike a balance. And we have seen before those who have undertaken training under placement-tied courses, they have an employment rate of over 80%. I believe right now we have struck a good balance. There is no need for drastic changes. We are making good use of public money, and those who have taken the placement-type courses can find jobs. As for the question on AI, my understanding is that people are not expected to become experts. AI can be used by everyone, really. It is not exactly difficult to use, but for workers, they are worried whether they can pick up the skills. But once they actually undertake relevant training, they find that it is not difficult to use the AI technology. And they will continue to use such technology in future once they have learned how to use this technology. We want people to get used to AI as soon as possible. We don't want them to lag behind now so that they have to catch up even more in future. Thank you. I will now ask Professor Wang to supplement information on my answers. Thank you. We have had several members talk about how some workers receiving training under placement-type courses are abusing the courses. And Mr. Leung and I are both in the F&B industry. We want to encourage people to upskill. We have worked in the F&B industry and we have seen people at buffets trying to steal food by bringing food outside the premises. But you may know you can't be too strict with enforcement, because if you're too strict with enforcement, people don't want to come to your restaurants. It's the same with the training of ERB. As the secretary said, I believe we have struck a good balance, but of course I keep in view of the situation. I think right now the circumstances are acceptable, but when there are any changes in future, we can make changes. But I think at this moment, the member does not need to be concerned. We have struck a good balance. Of course, we don't expect people to become AI experts. We have the world's top 100 universities in Hong Kong. They have their roles in providing elite training. What we do is that we hope that with our courses, workers will not be resistant against AI. Some grassroots or white-collar workers are resistant to AI because they're worried that AI will replace their jobs. So they adopt this attitude where they don't want to use it. With doing that, they think that AI will not be able to replace them. But AI is actually your friend if you are willing to use it. So with our courses, they are very much application-based. In fact, with the micro-credential courses, we want people to take the courses to upskill themselves, and maybe they will be given a higher income with such knowledge obtained through those courses by employers. And employers will see how employees making use of AI have made them more competitive. This is what the ERB is doing. I hope this is clear for the member. All right, any follow-up questions? If not, it's my time to ask questions. Many members asked about micro-credential courses. I want to ask about what is meant by stackable. Is it the case that within a particular curriculum, the micro-credential courses are stackable, or is it that the courses are stackable even when they're in separate areas? I will ask Professor Wong and Mr. Byron to answer relevant questions. Mr. Byron, thank you. With placement-tied courses in future, we will have 1 to 2 core skills being in focus, and the courses will be modular micro-credential courses. So one can perhaps take the first course, or they can take the third or fifth or sixth course first. And in the end, these micro-credential courses are stackable to become a certificate course. And if one wants to take, say, courses of different skill levels. In the end, they will form a study ladder. We want to provide this flexibility because some workers have tight time constraints or they may have different interests, so they can have different micro-credential courses forming a qualification, providing a more personalized approach. We can also deliver more courses in different delivery modes, online, offline, to make flexible learning for all. Thank you. Any other questions? If not, according to the administration's plans, in the second half of this year, they will submit legislative proposals to the Legislative Council in relation to the ERO. Do members have any comments on this? If not, thank you, representatives from the administration and the ERB, for attending the discussion of this item. I will ask the secretary to stay for discussion of the next item. The next agenda item is talent attraction. I will ask other representatives of the administration to come inside the conference room now.
Felix， 好，首先係請勞工。
Right. I will first ask Secretary for Labor and Welfare to brief members on the paper provided by the administration. Thank you, Chair. I'll be brief because I see there are time constraints. I will then ask Mr. Felix Chen, the Director of Hong Kong Talent Engage, to talk specifically about the work of the Hong Kong Talent Engage. Let me share with you some figures. We have set some KPIs in the policy address before. Between 2025 and 2027, for each year, we will have no less than 50,000 talents successfully applying for extension of stay. So 2025 was the first year. We have now received 71,000 applications for extension of stay, and we have had 66,000 cases having their extension of stay approved. So we have met the KPI. We have actually went beyond meeting the KPI. The paper also talked about this other specific scheme for, or the arrangements for non-degree professionals. We have launched relevant measures for over half a year. We have received over 600 applications. 400 applications were approved. Lastly, on 18th and 19th of March, we will have the Global Talent Summit Week. As you may remember, 2 years ago, we had the first Global Talent Summit. It was very successful, so we are holding the second edition this year. We will have much more covered this year, and I will let Mr. Felix Chen give more details in due course. I'll now pass on to Mr. Felix Chen to talk about the work of the Hong Kong Talent Engage. Thank you. The Hong Kong Talent Engage was set up in October 2023. It has three main goals. One, to promote Hong Kong as an international hub for talents and to be the gateway for talents of the country. For the country, we are also actively trying to have publications or publicity work to recruit talents from different parts of the world to come to Hong Kong. Thirdly, we are also trying to retain talents. The Hong Kong Talent Engage has worked with its partners to hold different activities to provide one-stop support services for talents and their families so that they can stay in Hong Kong and make contributions to Hong Kong. The Hong Kong Talent Engage also works with partners online and offline to resolve inquiries and concerns. And we have actively tried to recruit talents from different parts of the world. We have held over 80 delegation visits to different regions. We have held 200 odd publicity and recruitment events. To meet the needs of Hong Kong enterprises, the Hong Kong Talent Engage has worked with different industry associations, enterprises, and employers to do publicity and recruitment work. We have also invited some of those who have already settled in Hong Kong, the talents, to share their experience in Hong Kong so that we can have targeted recruitment for different groups of talents. And talents and their families, we have observed before, they are most concerned about finding work or entrepreneurship support. And we have held many sessions. Last year, we have had over 1,400 employers, and we have had over 200,000 attendances at the event. With these activities, we can provide direct matching between employers and talents. And starting from the middle of last year, we have some new initiatives. We have online recruitment fairs so that before talents come to Hong Kong, they can already talk to employers, and they would be, as much as possible, try to find work before they come to Hong Kong. With the retention of talents, the Hong Kong Talent Engage has held seminars and workshops. Last year, we held approximately 46 workshops and other sessions relating to job finding, entrepreneurship, education, and daily life in Hong Kong. We have also held some Cantonese classes. They are actually really well received. Ever since I took office in October last year, I have heard many of the talents from overseas wanting to have Cantonese classes given in English. So we are providing such classes starting from next month. We also organize some volunteer and social integration activities so that talents can form their networks in Hong Kong. We will also hold visits this year to different cities in the mainland and overseas, especially focusing on GBA cities. We want to go global together. We will also be proactive in recruiting overseas talents to have them make contributions to Hong Kong and the country. We will hold the Global Talent Summit Week, as the Secretary said, in March this year. Last time we held the summit was in 2024. We have seen this being of a larger scale this year. We will also have greater international participation, having people from different backgrounds. We have two specific events: International Talent Forum. We have invited Nobel Prize laureates, world-renowned scholars, and entrepreneurs to hold discussions on education, technology, and talents. We also have another core activity that is the Career Connect Expo. We have 70-odd partners of Hong Kong providing support to talents at the venue to answer inquiries from talents on daily lives, settlement, and career support. We have the Global Talent Summit being held over an entire week because we have different satellite activities as well. We have recruitment fairs, carnivals, exchange sessions. We want to really form a talent exchange platform. In future, we will continue to make adjustments and enhance our publicity strategy so that we can recruit and retain talents and make contributions to Hong Kong and the country. We will work with members to promote the development of Hong Kong in future.
Members who would like to speak, please press the request to speak button. 7 members have requested to speak. 3 minutes, including questions and answers. Captain Lo Lam. Thank you, Chairman. The government has done a lot of work to troll for talents, for example, relaxing the application eligibility as well as the relevant schemes, and this can help address the manpower crunch and to promote the relevant industries development. I have a question about the professional talent scheme, and it was mentioned that the scheme will be reviewed, and we still see a manpower shortage for example, maintenance technicians. There are very few young people who are joining the relevant skilled trades. Will you review the list of skilled trades to bring in labor for trades with manpower shortage? For example, we need marine services technicians. Currently, we're only bringing in technicians for local vessels, but there are vessels not from Hong Kong that require the work of technicians. Secretary. We rolled out the scheme for professionals of specified skilled trades last year, as we saw that there was a manpower shortage for skilled technical workers, and also because there is an aging population. However, we've been treading very carefully. We've talked to the relevant policy bureaus, and for the first phase, we are covering 8 skilled trades with acute manpower shortage. We undertook to review the scheme a year later. And during our review, we will see whether there is a need to adjust the skilled trades on the list. We need, however, strong justification to make the adjustments. We will talk to the relevant bureaus to see if we need to adjust the list. If there is a need, we will be happy to adjust the list. However, we'll have to first look at the information provided by the relevant policy bureaus to prove that there is a manpower shortage for the relevant trade. We do not have the relevant information at the moment yet, but we will talk to the relevant policy bureau after the meeting. Next, Mr. Won-kit. Thank you. The Hong Kong Talent Engage has done a lot to attract top talents to Hong Kong through the Top Talent Pass scheme. Over the past 2 years, about 48% of the talents who came to Hong Kong did not apply for an extension of stay. I wonder if the administration has done any surveys to study why they did not apply for the visa extension. And also, did you look at where the talents go? Did they go to the Greater Bay Area after coming to Hong Kong? As for those who applied for an extension of stay, what was the reason behind? Secretary. I thank Mr. Won-kit for the questions. We have on various occasions replied to this question. There was a peak for talents under the Top Talent Pass scheme to apply for extension of stay, and we had a lot of data during the peak. Now we see a stable growth for about 50% of the talents whose limit of stay expired apply for extension of stay, and 94% of those who applied saw a success. So most of those who apply for extension of stay met the eligibility criteria, and about 40% did not apply for an extension of the visa, and they probably were aware that they could not meet our eligibility criteria. Usually the talents came to Hong Kong with a visa under the Top Talent Pass scheme, And the eligibility for applying for an extension of visa under the TTPS is the same as that of other talent admission schemes. That is, applicants will have to have secured a job in Hong Kong, or they have started a business in Hong Kong to show that they can contribute to our economy in order to have their visas extended. About 53% of the first batch of talents who came to Hong Kong under the TTPS, they are happy with the scheme and they find the scheme very attractive. Also, these talents who came, they are very talented and they have great potential. And around the world, there isn't a similar scheme that sees a 100% extension rate. So 50% is good, and we are doing better than other places in terms of the application rate. Next, Mr. Lee Kwang Yu. I am happy that the Talent Engage has done a lot to attract talents. I hope moving forward it will continue to attract tech talents to come to Hong Kong. Hong Kong is known to be an international city, and there is a great university system that attracts top talents to bring their children to Hong Kong. However, some who have secured a job in Hong Kong, they at the end decide to leave this city. These top talents, they are not young and they have spouses very often, and they are not living with their spouses when they come to Hong Kong. So they decide to leave at the end. So I hope that the government can think of ways to retain these talents. Also, retaining talents is actually more cost effective than attracting talent, so I hope the government can do more in this regard. Also, the average income of these top talents is about $40,000. For tech companies, this is not a very high pay. This is usually pay enjoyed by junior to middle ranking officers or staff in tech companies. How can you ensure that by bringing in these talents, you will not affect university students who have just graduated and who are looking for junior posts? Secretary. For both the TTPS and other talent admission schemes, the applicant can apply to bring their partners or spouses and even dependent children to come to Hong Kong with them. For some applicants, because of their family situations, they decided not to bring their spouses to Hong Kong. And that's their personal choice. Our scheme has already taken into consideration their family needs. For Category B and Category A applicants, a lot of them, they bring in their spouses and dependent children under the TTPS. Some of them, they decide not to bring their spouses, and some decide to bring their spouses. If they are thinking of bringing in their spouses, we are providing the relevant information and support to them. And we will continue to do this. The median income for top talents is about $40,000. The average income for different trades varies. For those in financial services sector as well as in the tech sector, the pay is higher. But for other industries, the pay is not as high. So we're looking at the median income here. About 1/6 of the top talents, they engage in the tech or INT sector. About 1/4 are in commerce and trade, which is a major industry in Hong Kong. We don't have a breakdown in this regard. If you look at the breakdown, the median income for the tech sector may not be $40,000. If you're looking at the average, and if you apply that average figure to a specific sector, it might not do justice. we have the TTPS as well as other talent admission schemes, and we see that these schemes are injecting new impetus to a lot of industries. And there is a high demand for talents in different industries. So we want to strike a balance. We want to make sure that jobs are for the locals first, and on the other hand, if we see a manpower crunch in certain industry, we want to bring in outside talents to Hong Kong. We will carry on with our effort to make sure that we can prioritize local employment, and at the same time we can bring in new talents to inject new impetus to our industries. Next, Mr. Chao Xiu-chung. I have two questions. First, about professionals of specified skill trades. The relevant scheme has been rolled out for 7 months. About 400 applications have been approved so far, and it is in line with the government's expectations. For certain trades, the application number is low, and that covers building information modeling coordinators as well as electrical technicians. The number of applications is on the low side, and there are only a few applications over the past 7 months. I want to know if the government has looked at the reasons behind. Why are there so few applications for these trades? Was it because the estimate or the manpower projection is different from the actual demand? Can you share the relevant statistics with us? Second question. With the various talent admission schemes, we see about 200,000 people who are the dependent children or family members of incoming talents. They can look for jobs freely in Hong Kong, and I want to know if this has posed any impact on local employees and workers. For the family members of incoming talents, can you talk about their education attainment and their employment status after they've come to Hong Kong? Secretary.
6-7個月。
Well, for the arrangements relating to technical professionals, they have only been launched 7 months ago. It takes time. Please understand this. Technical professionals are different from the general talent admission schemes. There are many specific requirements. For example, for electrical technicians and lift or escalator technicians, because the technicians have to be licensed. So it would take time for us to really liaise with employers. But what is important is we already have a good start. We would have people worrying about this if we see a large number of applications. And now people are worried when we have a relatively low number of applications. Let me just say that it takes time. We have to understand we have an aging workforce. We have 1/4 of the workers in the skilled worker population being 60 years old or above. The median is 50 odd years old. We hope that in the long term, with the technical professionals arrangements, we'll be able to meet the relevant manpower gap. We do thank Mr. Chow for his concern. We'll continue to keep in view of this situation. For top talents, we do have more data about them because we have done some surveys. Many of them brought their spouses. But there are also technical professionals who are not top talents. That is, their employers made the relevant applications. They may not bring their spouses because they may not expect to work in Hong Kong in the long term. So there are different circumstances. But let me say, for top talents, their spouses are also often top talents. They probably both the talent and their spouses have graduated from top schools, so they mainly look for work in professional areas. We do see a manpower gap in certain professional sectors as well. So with the spouses, they have really been able to help us meet the manpower gap. Thank you, Mr. Lam Chen Sing. Thank you, Chair. We have seen in Top Talent Pass scheme in 2023, we had many applications, I believe 60,000 odd, but now we only have 35,000 odd. Why is there such a decline? Is it because the prospects are not attractive or they can't find jobs suitable for them in Hong Kong? Will we have some targeted measures for Category C? Because Category C talents are those who have graduated from top universities. Will we have more targeted support for them so that we can have, say, on-site interviews by employers and the talents can apply for the scheme right away once they have found work with the employers? I believe we will have a review soon for technical professionals arrangements, I believe after a year. I think we should take a more macro perspective with the review. Before we have had labor importation schemes, and for, say, aircraft maintenance technicians and nurses, especially with the legislative amendments relating to nurses, we already are allowing admission of local nurses, and they will bring their dependents to Hong Kong. I think with the different arrangements, we may not need to import labor as much. So I think we should really take a macro perspective with labor importation. Thank you. Secretary, with the launch of the Top Talent Pass scheme, we had seen a peak in applications. Once we have provided more information, the figures more or less stabilized. We think this is reasonable and it is really what we expected. The figures, as I said earlier, are quite stable. They're not low. As I said earlier, we expect with the launch of a scheme, we will see a peak in applications. But we actually prefer stability. In the first year, many people thought, oh, this is a new scheme. There are many people who are interested in applying. We think with stable figures, it means people are fully aware of our requirements. Our requirements are actually very clear and transparent. The number of applications, as I said, met our expectations. We will review the arrangements relating to technical professionals after a year after the launch of the arrangements, and as Mr. Lam Chen Sing should know, with the importation of labor, it is more macro. Technical professionals arrangements are more focused. When we review the technical professionals, if certain job categories have other importation arrangements, we will review those as well. But as Mr. Lam said, the nature is kind of different for technical professionals. Under the technical professionals arrangements, once they have worked here and lived here for 7 years, they can become permanent residents of Hong Kong. And we only have people who are 40 years old or below. So we will have younger professionals coming to Hong Kong. We have a higher threshold under the technical professional arrangements, and as you can see from the figures of the arrangements, we have quite strict requirements. The meeting was supposed to end at 12:45. I will extend the meeting by 10 minutes. Mr. Chen Pui-kong. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Secretary. The Secretary said earlier the rate of those apply for extension of stay under Top Talent Pass scheme is over 50% and the success rate is over 94%. I think we should make sure to have in mind the actual contributions made by the top talents. These top talents mainly serve in sectors such as the commercial sector, the trade sector, INT, and financial services. Is there any way for us to see that the top talents are effectively meeting the local manpower gap instead of replacing young local talents? Do we have concrete figures for the public's understanding? Thank you, Secretary. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chung, for your questions. We expect, as said in the paper, the top talents will make an additional contribution to the GDP by 1.2%. That is $30 to $34 billion per year. And about a quarter of the talents, according to information provided when they're applying for extension of stay, many of them are working in commerce and trade. 1/6 of them work in financial services. 1/6 of them are in INT sector. So you can see that they are meeting the manpower gap in these pillar sectors. And many of the talents are in their 30s or 40s. So they are not doing entry-level jobs. They are in the middle of their careers. They are able to meet a manpower gap on that specific level. As for the young talents that we're training, we're paying close attention to the situation. And in fact, we did set a quota for talents that have experience. Each year, we only accept 10,000 of them. This is to make sure we are according priority in employment for local graduates. Mr. Lam Wai-kong, thank you, Chair. I want to ask specifically about the admission of technical professionals. So we do not require employers to have local recruitment before they hire technical professionals. But say for aircraft maintenance technicians, we already have a labor importation scheme, but under the labor importation scheme, they would have to conduct local recruitment first. So how can we make sure we do well in gatekeeping so that we make sure we're according priority to local workers in recruitment? We have seen with the number of applications for technical professionals, some have relatively low figures. For lift or escalator technicians and electrical technicians, we actually have quite a number of qualified workers in Hong Kong. With the low figures for the number of applications received, perhaps it demonstrates that the government has made wrong assessments and we do not need that many technicians imported. Secretary, my understanding is that we are setting up new technical professional categories because we see an aging workforce in the specific trades. As I said earlier, a quarter of them are 60 years old or both, so we really have to meet the gap. And we don't have enough new blood wanting to join the trades. Please rest assured about the relatively low figures for the number of applications received for certain trades. we think these trades need some time for the employers to really find out more about the requirements. We cannot really make a decision based on figures in a few months. In the long term, in the trades of lift and escalator maintenance and electricians, we will have an aging labor force. If we don't have enough people, we can't really maintain the operations of a city. We really need to take a macro perspective. As for employers, how many people they want to apply for admission, the decision is made by employers. The government is a gatekeeper, and we are being stringent in gatekeeping. And as I said, after the launch, 1 year after the launch of such arrangements, we will review the relevant arrangements. So we will have more experience afterwards on the operations, and we can make adjustments then.
Mr. Peter Xu. Thank you, Chairman. I support and commend the efforts made by the Secretary in attracting talents. He has been withstanding a lot of pressure because attracting talents give people the impression that the incoming talents are competing with locals for jobs. We are ranked the highest among the world in terms of our population aging as well as our birth rate. If we do not bring in talents, we will face a more serious situation compared to that in Japan. So I agree that we have to safeguard local employment first, and we have to be rational in explaining to people about the effectiveness. We have about 200 to 300,000 talents who have come to Hong Kong through the various admission schemes, and they have been helping to boost the property market as well. Hong Kong is an international city that welcomes people from different places. According to statistics, do we have more talents from the mainland or overseas? If we do not have lots of overseas talents who come to Hong Kong, what can you do to bring them to Hong Kong? Secretary. If you take into consideration all talent admission schemes, about 1/4 of our talents are from overseas. Of course, not all of them stay for the same amount of time in Hong Kong. Some of them may only stay for a short period to complete a contract, but we do have overseas talents. If you look at the top talent pass scheme, most of the talents come from the mainland. However, if you look at their education background, about 40% of the talents, they received education in Europe as well as in the US. And so they do have the international perspectives. So we will continue to work hard, and the Hong Kong Talent Engage as well. It will keep up its effort to bring in talents. Mr. Peter Xu, any follow-up? No, great. There being no further questions, we move on to agenda item 6. There being no further business, meeting adjourned. Thank you.